So I got a comment from a subscriber and it really struck a chord with me because I remember going through this when I first got started in the licensing business. Now the question was, this producer had signed with a new library, had been contributing a couple of tracks, but didn't know if they were getting placements or not. They certainly weren't getting any reports from the library that they were getting placements. And obviously, as you guys know, it takes 6 to 9 months to finally get your royalties from the date that your track gets aired. So just because your tracks get accepted, that doesn't mean that in 6 to 9 months, you'll automatically see a royalty. It might take a month or two before somebody comes along and wants to use one of your tracks. And so it'd be 6 to 9 months from that date that it gets aired, okay? So the question was, from the subscriber was, when do I sort of move on to another library if I'm not seeing any results and I'm not getting the vibe that there's anything going on and I don't think that I'm getting placements with them? And what's the sort of, how do you calculate this risk of maybe, because if it's going to be an exclusive contract, you're going to be tying up some of your really great, valuable tracks with one company, and you really don't know if that's a great place for them to be sitting. Maybe those tracks just kind of get sat on and they don't really go anywhere. Well, the number one thing you should definitely be doing is talking openly with the library that you're working with. So you should be sending them an email or calling them up and just saying, do you guys have any sort of way of reporting when things are getting used? Many times a library will use something like TuneSet or another sort of reporting agency to let them know when their tracks are out there getting placements. So it's possible that they have reports on what's happening with your music. And if you just ask them to just give you a heads up when they have those reports, they'll be more than happy, they should be, to let you know about it. If they don't have a reporting agency and they say, well, we really just don't know, but they might be able to tell you, here's who's looking at our catalog. This company, they're working with this, network or this TV show. So they can give you a little peek behind the curtain as far as who's looking at your music, who's looking at their catalog, potentially using your tracks. So it'll give you a little bit more of that confidence that at least you're in good hands, that at least somebody is looking at your track. So, and they should be trying to sell themselves to you as a library to stick with, okay? So if you ask them to give you a little bit of an idea of what's going on with their clients and your music, and they just sort of say like, we're not going to tell you anything, but, sorry, just whatever. We're not telling you anything. They're not really selling themselves as a library to you. And that might be a decent sign for you to go partner with another company as well. And maybe it doesn't mean that you're in bad hands with them, but if they're not really selling themselves to you to say, no, keep giving us music because look, we're going to get you this placement, that placement, that placement. That's typically what they're going to want to do. So I'd say 9 times out of 10, if you just ask them up front, what's going on with my music? Can you let me know what might be getting placed through your company? They're going to be more than willing to want to just reassure you that you're in good hands. Every time I've worked with a new library, I always ask them, hey, I've been submitting some tracks for a couple of months now. I just want to know what's going on. And they're always, most of the time they'll want to get on the phone. They'll call you. They'll let you know what's going on. They'll want to just immediately put that fear aside that there's, they don't want you to think that your tracks are getting sat on or that they're not doing anything with your music. So most of the time they will want to keep you on board because they need to keep relevant music and constantly fresh music coming in, especially if you're a high quality producer. They don't want to lose you. However, unfortunately, there is a part of this business that there's just no way to get around it. You got to sort of go all in on a company that you have at least all the evidence and the signs pointing that they're a legit company, that they do get placements, that they are active, that they're constantly looking for new music from you. You sort of got to give them a chance, for pretty much a good year, maybe 2 years. You got to give somebody a chance for a while to see what's going on, how well their catalog is doing. Most companies will offer a clause in their licensing agreements, at least this is what I'm seeing recently, where they say if they don't get you a placement within, I think 2 to 3 years is about the standard clause, 3 years is probably more common, that you can take your music back out of their catalog. Even if you've exclusively licensed it to them, you can take it right back out and say, well, you guys haven't gotten me anything in 3 years. I'm taking that music right back out and I'm going to find another home for it. So, keep that in the back of your mind. If you're signing with these new companies, look out for that clause. Sometimes that clause can really help you in a situation where you've been committing to a library for, let's say, a year or 2 years, and you're not seeing any action there. Just keep an eye out and make sure you keep good records. When you signed your contract, when you submitted your tracks, and you can keep an eye on well, it's been 3 years. I submitted all these great tracks and I'm not seeing anything. So you can definitely pull those out and then go to another library or something like that. But you do need to be aware that there is a bit of a risk period in this industry, that you have to just give a library a chance to see what's going to happen. And then just keep an eye on your royalty statements, and you know which tracks you sent to them, and you can see which ones are actually going to get placed if they're securing you any placements. If you start seeing some placements within 6, 9, 12 months from working with them, you're in good hands. If you don't see anything within a year and a half, 2 years, like nothing's coming in, that might be a good sign that it's time to partner with another company, go another direction, and then also keep an eye on that clause. If you can get out within 3 years, you can take those tracks and move out. But the bottom line of all of this is that you just need to do your research up front. That's why I say don't just send your music out to a whole bunch of, even if you get my library directory, don't just copy and paste all the emails and just send them to everybody, because you don't know if they're the right fit for you. You don't know if they're actually looking for your kind of music, if they have contacts and clients that actually could use your kind of music and put your music to good use. So that's why you got to do all your research up front to make sure that you're not potentially wasting a large chunk of your career submitting to the wrong companies like I did when I first got started. So that's what I teach in my free course. That's what I teach in my master course, how to research these companies, make sure that you're going to partner with the right ones, and make sure that you have a competitive edge when you get into their catalogs. And there's a lot of signs you should look for to make sure that right when you start working with them, that they do care about getting you placements and keeping you on board. There's a lot of things you can see within a couple of weeks of working with them if you're going to be seeing that or not. So I want to make sure you guys don't make the same mistakes I did. But anyways, that's just some thoughts and some advice. And unfortunately, there is a bit of a risk factor, and there's a bit of a time where you have to just kind of go all in on a company, and hopefully they get you some great results. If they got a reputation, if they've been around a while, if they have some substantial credits that they can show on their website, more than likely you're in good hands. But you obviously need to make sure you're supplying them with very relevant and very licensable, high quality tracks to make sure that you're not just spinning your wheels in this business.